So a few days ago I had a dream where one of my cousins was getting married, and for whatever reason I wanted to take my camera and film some of it. Specifically for whatever reason I wanted to film the ceremony and also take some photos of, the reception party afterwards. The wedding was a while, it was in Brighton or something, and I'm in Gloucestershire, and so I had to go up there with family. I took my camera and the charger, and in the dream I had 2 batteries for this thing. The battery that I actually have and a cheap Chinese thing that didn't have a lot of charge in it. I took both of those batteries, and the main battery was fully charged. But being in Brighton, I thought I'd film some of the scenery. I took the camera on the beach and I was sort of walking around the beach filming. And I must have forgotten to charge the battery, because we got to the wedding, and to my sheer horror, my battery was almost dead. And for some reason I was filming like the gathering that was happening, before everyone was sort of turning up and sort of gathering together and sort of hanging out for quite a while before anything else happened, and it took forever. Like, I was getting annoyed. I sort of trying not to get flustered because I'd forgotten my, I was in, there was no way of getting a charger, or, there's no way of rectifying my mistake, basically. So, except maybe turn the camera off to preserve the battery for the part that I wanted to film. But for some reason I wasn't doing that. So the wedding was a curious affair. After this long gathering, there was something else happened. It might have been part of the reception, traditionally speaking, but then we were all sat in this like U-shaped room, all metal, very clean, but all metal, with this metal bench, like almost like a stainless steel bench going all around. And of course it was impossible to sort of see one another, because it really was a U-shaped room with a door on one. It was like a corridor, with a door on one sort of end of the corridor, and I was on the far end. And I started filming this as well. And the tradition was, in the dream, that this was the time for the bride to freshen herself up for the ceremony. Being that he was my cousin, I gathered that this was going to take a while, and sure enough we were in there for about half an hour, and for some reason I checked out the other battery, and to my delight there was some charge left in it, but I filmed this whole thing. Then I think that when the ceremony started, my battery conked out sort of halfway through the ceremony that I wanted to film. As a result, I don't remember. But yeah, I've been having a lot of weird dreams lately. I mean, something like that kind of did happen to me in real life, in waking life, relatively recently, when another one of my cousins was getting married, and I took another camera, for which I Well, now I have 3 official batteries and 3 cheap Chinese batteries. For it, at the time I didn't have the other 2 official batteries, but I planned to, not even film the ceremony, but film just have something so I could take photos at the reception party bit, and the meal and all that kind of thing. And I just wanted it to show Sky, basically. So I had ample battery power. I didn't charge my, any of my cheap Chinese batteries for whatever reason, but I had ample battery power and ample disk space for what I wanted. And then when I got there, I wound up filming the entire ceremony, which was outside. All of the speeches and all that sort of thing, a whole bunch of other stuff. And then when it came to filming the first dance, I had no battery power left, and literally I switched the camera on and it died. So I literally have a fraction of a second of their first dance, which is really cool. It was like the highlight of the wedding. And apparently, they didn't hire a video photographer. They hired they had a member of the family, a family member, taking professional photographs. They didn't have a wedding video apart from what I filmed, which is pretty damn poor, because I really wasn't planning on. If I was going to, if I'd known, I would have made more of an effort to make it more kind of, at least more tangible. And if I'd had enough bloody notice beforehand, I would have made sure I had every conceivable battery. I'd have bought more discs. And yeah, I would have gone for a walk with them. I don't know what they think of the film. I think they thought that I was a surprise photographer, I was a videographer and I was a surprise or something like that, and the video was going to come out brilliantly. I kept telling them, look, I'm not the official videographer at all. I'm just doing this for Sky. It's going to turn out shit. But it's all good enough for me, basically. It's a good enough record for me of your wedding. And I would have thought that if you wanted a professional video, you'd have got a professional videographer, which I could be if I had enough bloody warning, like I said. But I was sat on a seat, at the back of the thing, and I was just trying not to sort of get in the way of everyone, and it was stupid anyway. Yeah, more to the point, I went out the next day. I knew that I was going to have to go out and get a few bits from the older, from Sainsbury's or from some supermarket, and I've got all these reusable bags. I've got one right here from Wilko's, but I either never take it with me or it's full of crap, and then I wind up using their bags anyway, which is really irritating. So I thought, no, this time I'm going, I only want a few bits. I'm going to take some stuff out of the bag and make sure I've got enough room to actually use this bag, which I already have. Consequently, I took out the DVD-based camera, which I took to this wedding, for which I have multiple batteries. I think most of which are still charged, unless I haven't used it for a while. Because it's big and chunky. So that was one of the things that stayed at home, and but I took this camera, which I'm using right now, out with me. I got to Sainsbury's and there was a couple of ducks sat right outside the door, and it was amazing. They looked amazing. It was like a breeding pair, I think. I think this is a female. This is my favourite photo. This is a female, and the male was more colourful. And I sort of ripped out this camera, switched it on, and the battery was extraordinarily low, much lower than I expected it to be, actually. which was the same in the dream. I thought I'd used some of the battery, but when I switched it on, it was almost, I'd used most of the battery, and it was the same. The same. I knew I wasn't going to have a full battery by a huge margin. I thought I was going to be on 1 or 2 bars, if you could call these bars, but no, I had the red battery sort of flash in and a constant message saying change battery pack and all that kind of thing. Like the battery was about to die. And I managed to get like a minute's worth of footage spread over 2 files and about 12 photos, and the only reason I stopped was I was kind of sitting on the floor taking these photos, framing them properly and all that sort of thing, and the other customers were sort of getting out of the way so they wouldn't be in the photos and that sort of thing, and that's the reason I stopped. Like I could have gotten more photos if I really wanted. I don't know how long the battery would lasted. I would presume though that if I wanted to use the battery up, I would have gotten quite a few more photos and maybe even a bit more footage. It does say the battery is about to die for quite a while, to be fair to it. Unlike the DVD camera. Which means what it says. But anyway, people would be quick to say that it's a coincidence, but no, I knew subconsciously that the battery was dead and needed charging. I went to see Warhorse, which was, basically the live. Well, I think I saw an almost live performance, which basically means it was a live performance that was broadcast to my local cinema, and then they had like 3 repeat showings. I got one of the repeat showings, which I believe was just like a videotape of the of said live broadcast, but I'm not quite sure how it works. I mean, there was a performance sort of late March, and then nothing for 2 weeks, and then there was like 3 days in a row of the repeats, and I got, like I said, the first repeat. So I don't know if there was any difference, if they ironed anything out. There was a few mistakes. Like there was one instant where the camera was just completely blurred, like they zoomed in too quickly or something, and it took a while for their camera to focus and things like that. And then the cameraman couldn't find what they were trying to, find, because it was all blurry, so the camera sort of shook around. There was sort of things like that, which is the kind of thing you'd expect from a live show that hasn't been edited in any way, shape or form. So I don't think it was too edited. I was a little worried that it was just effectively going to be as if I'd bought a video of the live show, like a DVD of the live show, and I was watching that DVD on the big screen, because that would be kind of a strange waste of time, really. I mean, either buy the DVD, watch it at home, or go out to see the fucking play, which is what I prefer. But anyway, the interesting part of it was the ticket said 3 hours 20 minutes was the run time, and it was supposed to start at 7:20. It didn't start until 8 o'clock, and really, when I went in about 7:30, the screen was completely off. It was black. There was nothing going on. all the lights were on. And then sort of the slideshow started for a little bit, the slideshow sort of adverts. And then we got what seemed like an hour. It must have been 15 minutes or so of slideshows pertaining to the National Theatre, and some slides pertaining to the history of Warhorse. And then those started to be interspersed with trailers, video trailers for some of the other plays that were going to be sort of broadcast from the National Theatre in particular. And really this went on until 8 o'clock, until about 8 o'clock. And then suddenly the play started and went on for about an hour before there was an interval. Interval lasted about 15 minutes, and then rather than the play started again, we were treated to this interview. We were treated basically, literally to a couple of DVD special features almost. I don't know his bloody name. The guy who, and Anthony something or other, I think. The guy who wrote the Warhorse book, which I have read. I think it's Antonio McCarthy or something like that, I'm not sure. And one of the directors of the play were being interviewed by someone else, kind of on the stage of the National Theatre. And then, presumably live, if I'd seen the first screening, it would have been live. And then this version of Warhorse has been released to DVD, and I think it is a 2-disc DVD with it's got a feature-length documentary apparently, which I know because it was one of the slides that popped up numerous times before the bloody show started. They showed a clip. After that, they showed a clip from that documentary, maybe a 10-minute clip, and then the second part of the play started for maybe 45 minutes, and then that was that. And at the end of it all, I had been in the theatre for about 3 hours 20 minutes, from 7:20 to about 11:15, which was when everything ended. It was about 3 hours 20 minutes, so it was there was they weren't selling tickets to see Warhorse, they were selling this day out. It was this package thing, and the trailers were part of the package. It was really bloody strange. And the ice cream that you could buy during the interval, there was a film, on the film during the interval they showed the audience, and there was somebody selling ice cream, and I turned around and somebody in the cinema was selling the exact same make of ice cream, that hates AAG, whatever that posh type of ice cream, and I had some and it was jolly nice. But then I decided to go for a night walk. I thought, well, I'm in town. And really, I do enjoy going for these night walks, but I don't like being outside, sort of in my area at midnight and sort of walking around. If that makes any sense. But since I'm in town, I can sort of go for a night walk. I could go for a pizza first of all. I thought I'll get a pizza, a cheap pizza for $5 or something. Then I'll burn that off by going for a 10-mile walk or something, which was idiotic because I really wanted to go home. I wasn't in the mood for going to see Warhorse. I'd bought the ticket a week in advance, and I wasn't really in the mood for going out to see that, but I had the ticket. And I certainly wasn't in the mood for going for this walk, but I thought, well, like I said, I'm in town, and I might as well go for this walk. Like I said, I charged the battery up and deleted my memory card and all that kind of thing, because I planned to do a lot of filming while I was on this walk, and I did. I filmed. I walked to the next town basically, and and back, which is about 10 miles round trip, and I basically filmed. Kind of did a weird kind of walk and talk thing where I talked about nothing. To this next town, and that's why the battery is flat. So I knew that the battery was flat. I knew that I was going to go out, and Sainsbury's isn't too far away from here. Next door to Sainsbury's is a completely independent garage. It's not part of Sainsbury's at all, but it's a garage that sells takeaway coffee in these little cups. This is from a different place. Also right next to Sainsbury's is like a cycle path, and just as you get onto the cycle path from Sainsbury's, there's a couple of benches, and my plan was to get one of these takeaway coffees and then sit on the bench and read, after I'd picked up a bit of cheese and a bit of bread, which is what I needed. So I knew I was going to do all that. What I couldn't have anticipated was the fact that there was going to be these ducks here. But like I said, it was like they were a breeding couple. It was like they were on a date. In fact, that might be one of the ducks. That's amazing. Like, this is the closest can I get that? Yeah. I think that is the male duck that I saw. That is quite cool. But it's almost like they were on a date. Sort of miles away for a duck, I suppose, from this pond, which is obviously where they kind of live. It really is kind of down the road that way. And then they'd have had to have crossed a busy road. And of course Sainsbury's is a food shop, so it's not too surprising, and I did feed them a bit of a cheese and tomato pasty that I bought. But I assume the other customers were kind of doing that, and that's why they were there. But so yeah, they were definitely a breeding couple, definitely a male and a female, and that was it. And it was like they were kind of together, so to speak. And it was like they were a couple, and that was kind of, so it's kind of weird. I mean, maybe I was planning to make, to take some photos or make a video of some description. There's plenty of videos like this that I've been planning to make for a while. So maybe I planned to, I was subconsciously planning to sit there like I am now and make one of these videos. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. There's a doggy. There we go. It's a black dog. I think he's coming my way as well. So yeah.